Welcome to Rails, Ales, and Old Towns. Look, it may not get as much attention as some other British destinations, but I'm here to tell you, Glasgow buzzes with big city energy, delicious flavors, and the sound of great music. And as I found out recently during my first proper visit there, Glasgow is also full of surprises. To learn more, today I'm joined by Gillian Morrison, founder of Glasgow Food Drink Tour, to talk about what makes it such a great place to eat, drink, and soak up Scottish culture. From classic food favorites to the city's incredible Indian cuisine, Gillian takes us through Glasgow's rich culinary scene while also letting us in on a few of the city's secrets. We also dive into Glasgow's legendary music culture, from iconic venues hosting big names to pubs where you can settle in for a pint and some traditional music. And yes, we managed to squeeze in a little chat about trains and local beer too. All right, let's go to Glasgow.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform.
Let's welcome to Rails, Ales, and Old Towns, Gillian Morrison, the founder of Glasgow Food Drink Tour.
Hi, great to be here.
Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us about your wonderful city.
No problem.
I guess the first thing I'd like to know is how you ended up guiding people through Glasgow and showing them a great time.
I started it in 2018, but before then, I'd worked in the kind of banking industry. I was on maternity leave and I did not fancy going back to the corporate lifestyle. So I loved Glasgow. It's got this fascinating history and culture. There's just so much to it. The food and drink scene is just amazing, and it's just got better and better as the years have gone on. It's just thriving. And I thought I did my first ever food tour in New York City in 2008, and I got hooked. I was like, let's do a food tour wherever we go. So, and I thought this would be a great idea to do this in Glasgow. Just showcase family run independent restaurants and pubs and shops, because I think it's important to show people these places because they just are amazing. Yeah, I'm still the only food tour that really focuses on that. Since 2018, that's me been going, and now I've got two guides that help me.
So you went on that food tour in New York in 2008 and you just kind of filed that away.
Yeah, yeah. I just loved it because I thought when my food tour, I was just like, oh, it's just going to be tiny wee nibbles. You're not going to be full by the end of it. Oh, I was so wrong. I mean, it was great. We were finding out about the food and drink, finding about the places, the history and culture of the area. And I was just like, this is just a great way to see a city.
You're leading food tours and it's about the food and the drink, but also the city. How would you say it compares to Edinburgh? Because obviously that's kind of the elephant in the room here. We know that Edinburgh is how I really want to say this, I don't want to offend anyone, but the most popular as far as tourism.
Majority of people that visit Scotland go to Edinburgh. There's a fact. And it is a beautiful city. There's no doubt about that. But there's something about Glasgow. It's a proper Scottish city. Again, sorry, not wanting to offend anyone, but it's just down to earth. I mean, it's so friendly. It was voted like the number one friendly city in the whole of the UK, sometimes even the world. Go have a chat with anyone. It's all about the banter. When you come to Glasgow, you need to look for the wee hidden gems. I mean, for example, we go to Ashton Lane, which is an iconic hidden back street in the West End of Glasgow. And as soon as I turn that corner, people are just like, wow, we were not expecting this. And the lovely fairy lights, like old houses, muse houses, and then industry buildings. I mean, some of those buildings, like they were like undertaker stables and coach houses and factories, and now they're fancy Scottish restaurants and lovely pubs and stuff like that. And it's so easy to get between the cities. So if you want to go to Edinburgh, absolutely, but come over to Glasgow for a day or two in the train. It is so easy to get between cities. I mean, you're 45 minutes an hour. It's a doddle. It really is.
Yeah, so compare and contrast. What are the things that surprise people when they come to Glasgow?
The architecture. I mean, for example, we start at like Kelvin Grove, and that's just absolutely stunning building. There'll be medieval buildings somewhere, there'll be Georgian buildings, there'll be Victorian buildings, which is mostly like the West End, so they're just dotted about the place and you come across them. But yeah, just the architecture, just look up. That's what you need to do in Glasgow is look up and you see these buildings. They're just
And could you
stunning.
explain what the Kelvin Grove is?
Yeah, so Kelvin Grove is an art gallery and museum. There's 22 art galleries in there. Um, and there's the museum part. Christ of St. John across by Salvador Dali is there. And it's free, open daily. And yeah, and it's just beautiful. There's also a lovely organ, and they have a organ recital there daily. But there's just so many nooks and crannies to it that you could spend hours in there.
And it's located in a real like big leafy park, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's in the West End, next to Kelmgrove Park. And that's another thing with Glasgow's known for. A lot of people don't realise how green it is. Well, Glasgow means dear green place. So there's a lot of green spaces, about over 90 parks and green spaces there. So it's in Kelvin Grove. And that is the West End. It's a leafy part of the city. Some people kind of think it's like a village, kind of suburb kind of feel of the city. It's quite, yeah, it's quite unique.
You've got hills around. It's a pretty beautiful setting.
So Glasgow is like the gateway to kind of the West Coast. So you've got Loch Lomond, which is absolutely stunning. If you're looking from the south side up, you're going to see the Campsies, which is lovely hills in the Campsies. So yeah, you've got beautiful scenery that you can see from Glasgow, but also only about half an hour, 40-minute drive. You're out in lovely countryside.
And we
So
have to say something about some of the first impressions of Glasgow because, arriving at Glasgow Central Station, it's a
yeah.
stunning place.
Glasgow Central is something else. So yeah, 1879 is when Glasgow Central opened, and it's category A listed. But yeah, it's absolutely stunning. I mean, I think it's got over 48,000 panes of glass because it's got a lovely glass roof. That's where a lot of the trains come down south. It's a lovely, lovely station.
We took the
Yeah.
train up from England. We were there in November, late November, with those panes of glass that you mentioned, but still just
Yeah.
this soft light coming through the whole station. And when you walk out, it's just kind of all a straight line. You all just kind of get funneled in.
That was the design of it. I mean, they do tours of the station, and I did that tour because I wanted to find out more about it. It takes you all the way down. You go to kind of places where you just travelers can't go down and see it. So, you go down to like an old Victorian kind of platform and things like that, which is really really cool. But again, there's also a hotel, the Central Hotel, and that's renowned as well. A lot of famous people have been there, the likes of Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole.
My
Well,
wife and I, we
so
stayed there last year too.
you, oh, brilliant. Oh, fantastic. Did you go to the champagne bar?
You know, we did plenty of going out in Glasgow when we were there and getting around town, but it just didn't work out. Logistics, something called logistics got in the way. But we did walk in to this champagne bar and look out at the view over the station. And I can imagine it would be a really cool scene to go to
Yeah.
this Champagne Central and have a drink.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's lovely chandelier in there too. It is stunning. It's
You're in that
very,
champagne bar all the time.
I wish I was, but I've got children, so I don't have that luxury like I used to. But that's the thing with Glasgow. You can get a really, really packed itinerary of what to do because there's lots of wee things to do in Glasgow, and it doesn't take that long. If you want to get the kind of city vibe and explore the city, great. And then you can also go out a wee bit. Even like if you go to the south side to like Pollock Country Park, you can go and check out some Highland cows if you want to, you know. So if
Right?
you want to check out Highland cows, everyone wants to see a Highland cow whether in Scotland,
It's
you can do it in
obligatory
Glasgow.
for anyone, who's, this is the first with Scottish slang. We is just your word for just like we little, right?
Yeah, so do you know what? Half the time I say we, and I don't actually mean little, but effectively that's what it means. Um, like you'll say, do you want a wee cup of tea? You're not necessarily want a small cup of tea. It's just something you say. Oh, we'll just have a wee cup of tea. Sometimes it's a lot of habit with myself, but so half the time I don't even realize I'm saying it. But yeah,
So
we means
basically, yeah,
usually
you're gonna
small.
hear we a lot in Scotland, and it's migrated to mean more than just little.
100%, yeah. And you'll probably be saying it all the time when you leave Scotland. And you'll be saying it all the time, but yeah.
So you
But
arrive in Glasgow. Now, if you're coming from Edinburgh, I do know you're gonna arrive at a different station. It's nice in its own right, but it's not quite as grand as Central Station. What are, if you just give a few of like the big things people should look for, and see, and then maybe just a couple like hidden gems.
Yeah, so in terms of big things, I mean, I would definitely head up to the University of Glasgow. Rumour has it that J.K. Rowling got her inspiration for Hogwarts from that building. I'd definitely check out the likes of Finnieston. Yeah, so that's an area in the West End. It was originally a village in the 1700s and then it's been incorporated into the city. I mean, when I was at university and before then, you wouldn't really venture out in Finnieston. It was a bit on the rough side, but it's changed so much. Now it's just, it was named one of the hippest and trendiest places in the whole of the UK. A lot of kind of filming locations as well, which is quite cool to see in the West End.
No, I've heard this that there's been
Um,
a lot of filming of movies in Glasgow.
Spider-Man was filmed, Spider-Man 2 was filmed recently in Glasgow. And honestly, they're going down Bothwell Street. And of course, they've got this frame, and Tom Holland is in his Spider-Man costume, and he's just swinging from building to building. And everyone in Glasgow's like taking reels and videos of it and posting it in social media. And it's like, you don't expect this in Glasgow. So it's
Now,
pretty cool.
is it true that Glasgow you have a grid plan street that's
Yeah,
very similar to like an American city?
that's right. So actually, America, a lot of the cities in America got its inspiration from the likes of the new town in Edinburgh and Glasgow from
Oh,
the grid
okay.
system.
Sorry.
So no, no, no. So yeah, we kind of started off there. So if you go to like the kind of Merchant City, High Street, you'll see that a lot of the streets are maybe a wee bit windier, and then you come through the city. That's when you're going to get your grid system, and then you kind of go out to the West End, which again is a kind of change. And the kind of streets, a lot of them are maybe a wee bit windier there. But yeah, there is the grid system in Glasgow.
We were
Yeah, yeah.
coming through an intersection and I looked down. It was kind of a steep hill. And it kind of almost reminded me of like San Francisco or something.
Well, yeah. There was, I'm sure Halle Berry was doing filming in one of those streets, and it was based in San Francisco. See,
Yeah.
they base Glasgow in a lot of American cities. It's like they were filming the most recent Indiana Jones movie. That was St. Vincent Street, and there's all these American flags, and you're like, I'm definitely in a movie set here. So, yeah, it's an Outlander, of course.
So
That's
obviously
what
we've got
knows.
the Kelvin Grove Museum.
You've got Kelvin Grove in that area, yep, and then you can go up to the Botanic Gardens and check that out as well. And you talked about the university. So yeah, there's quite a bit, and there's definitely check out the museums in the West End and also the food and drink scene
And
as
what about
well.
this necropolis?
100% check out the necropolis. It is really, really fascinating. There's so many wee stories and wee ghost stories and lots of graves that you wouldn't expect to find in Glasgow. And then, of course, you've got the Glasgow Cathedral, which dates back to early 12th century, which is an absolute stunning building. Beautiful. That'll take you down the road to the high street. You've got Merchant City, which is a lovely kind of stylish historic part of the city. And then you've got the Barras as well, which is great too. So it's like a marketplace.
Okay.
And it's one of the oldest markets in the UK.
So is this like a big covered
Yeah.
market?
It's not covered. There are covered areas, but not everyone's covered. And there's food, and there's bric-a-brac, and there's lots of different wee areas that you can, yeah,
Okay.
go and find lots of vintage stuff and things like that. Yeah, lots of wee things you can find there.
Is this open every day?
At the weekends,
Okay.
and
So if
mostly
you're
the
spending a
weekends. Yeah,
weekend in Glasgow, get down there for sure.
yeah, definitely check it out. And we do go there in my other tour to check out the Barras there as well. Yeah.
I did want to ask you about that this is a music city on a par with like Manchester.
100%. I mean, Glasgow was the first UK's UNESCO City of Music, and it got awarded that in 2008. So music's a big deal in Glasgow. And you've got like iconic venues that likes of King Tut's and the Barrowlands. And you've got obviously the Hydro, which is a big music venue as well. So many bands have got their big breaks. That's what Glasgow's known for. A lot of bands have got their breaks here in Glasgow and then gone on to be absolute superstars. The likes of Oasis, they got signed in King Tut's.
I've heard this
And now
story. I've
they're
heard this story.
I mean, so many famous folk have played at like King Tut's, the likes of No Doubt and Snow Patrol and The Verve, you know.
If you love music, that could be a cool thing to do. A way to kind of get to know the city, catch a concert. And this Barrowlands ballroom is famous too. Isn't it like the floor kind of moves?
The Barrowlands, it was built so that Maggie McIver, the lady who set up the barras, it's like the barras is from the wheelbarrows. That's what she would give to people who would trade there, for goods. But barras is the kind of Glasgow dialect for a barrow, and it's just been called the barras. So the Barrowland Ballroom was built by herself, so she could host like Christmas parties there for all her guys who took part in the kind of our traders week.
Oh wow.
And that's it. And it was a ballroom before it became a music venue, and the people would go to the dancing and things like that. It's something about a concert and you see it there. I mean, I've seen a couple of concerts there, but the likes of like Blondie and David Bowie and Primal Scream, Simple Minds, and like Primal Scream and Simple Minds, great Glasgow bands, they've all played there. Yeah, renowned for its original sprung dance floor. Um, but yeah, it just makes dancing a bit more enjoyable, and it's definitely a popular and iconic feature of the venue.
So
So
the
yeah,
floor is on springs.
yeah, it's kind of like a sprung dance floor. It's like I'm sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when I watch Strictly Come Dancing on the telly, I'm sure the Blackpool ballroom has a sprung floor as well.
Huh. Now I'm
Don't
not
quote
going
me
to
on that
correct
one.
you because even if you are wrong, I don't know.
I don't think so. So yeah, it's obviously for the dancing. So that's the Barrowlands has that kind of sprung floor. It just makes it a bit more enjoyable and a bit more, yeah, when you're
Okay,
swinging your
yeah, that
partner
is
around, a bit easier.
that makes it a unique concert venue if the floor's bouncing a
Yeah.
little bit when you're up and
Oh,
down with your
definitely.
tunes.
See when your crowd's bouncing and they're having a great time. What an atmosphere. And
Absolutely.
that's one thing Glasgow's known for is its great crowds when you go to concert and lots of performers say, no, Glasgow, you're going to have a great time in Glasgow because we just love, yeah, to party and enjoy music and just, yeah, celebrate the performer who's there.
And is it
So
there's
yeah.
also like a legendary country bar. I think it's called Glasgow's Grand Ole Opry.
Glasgow has a lot of connections to kind of country music. We do have a big country event at the Hydro, but there's definitely a connection with Scotland and its country music, and it's definitely people are definitely having a big interest in it, and a lot of people from the islands definitely have loved the country music as well.
The islands off the
So yeah,
coast, off the west coast.
of the West Coast, yeah, the Highlands and the Islands, the West Coast. There's definitely a strong love of country music there as well as obviously the traditional Scottish music too.
That was a really cool thing when I was researching about Glasgow. Just something I didn't know about. It was this heritage about the music, and it gives. I think it further adds on to what we were talking about in the beginning of just this like cool, just like street cred coolness that Glasgow has.
Definitely. I mean, it's kind of like the kind of cool, maybe a wee bit, yeah, the fun city. That's definitely kind of known as that. You're going to have a good time in Glasgow, put it that way.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
not only the iconic venues that you said, you've also got the World Pipe Band Championships that are here every August, and everyone from all the world competes in that. That's in Glasgow Green, and then you've got Celtic Connections with people with a love of Celtic music just all come together in January, February time. And it just after Christmas, everyone's a bit kind of like, oh, Christmas is done, right? January, but it kind of gets the city kind of live again.
And this is an annual festival.
Yep, Celtic music, and again, people from all over the world play. Yeah, it's a big thing for Visit Glasgow and Glasgow Life to put on, and it's January, February every year.
And so obviously this West End is kind of close to your heart.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's I bought my first ever house in the West End, worked even before I set up my tours in the West End, worked there. And of course, I went to the University of Glasgow. So, yeah, it's really, really important to me, the West End. And it's so cool. It really is. There's some great venues there and great venues, as in restaurants and bars and um, traditional Scottish pubs and lovely wee shops and cheesemongers and fishmongers. You don't get that in the city centre, but you do get it in the West End. It's like a community, so to speak, and that people live there. It's yeah, where people live. It's definitely a community.
Well, it's good to have that, you can live in a neighborhood, but then go into the center for the big city experience and then
Yeah. And of course, we've got our subway, which is so easy to get around. I mean, it basically goes in a circle. You cannot get lost in our subway, which is really easy to get from the city centre to the West End or vice versa.
One of the main things, obviously, we want to talk about is the food of Glasgow because that's your passion.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Let's get to the good stuff.
Yeah. Glasgow, Scotland, it's known for its amazing produce. I don't know if only like certain people like know about this, but some people don't know that Scotland's actually known for this. And like it's seafood, it's Scotch beef, it's Scotch lamb. I mean, it's all like certified. It's a bit like champagne in France. It's got that protected status, the beef and the lamb. And you've also got the like the Stornoway black pudding, you've got the gin, whiskey, cheese. Um, you've also got the other things that Glasgow people think that we just eat lots of deep fried pizzas and Mars bars, but we don't. We've got some amazing produce, like I just mentioned before.
Now, with these deep fried Mars bars and things, where did this all come from?
It was actually invented, correct me, in Stonehaven in Aberdeenshire.
Okay, yeah, I've always wondered why the Mars bar. I mean, I could go for deep fried Snickers.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not. It was just in local newspapers, and then it's and sold in fish and chip shops. But if you go into a fish and chip shop, they can deep fry a Mars bar, and yeah, I think it's just a bit of fun. I mean, I've known the chippies, and they just kind of for a laugh, just throw lots. Oh, we'll deep fry this and we'll deep fry that, just for a bit of fun. But yeah,
And
the pizza crunch is a Glasgow thing.
what's that?
Uh, that's basically pizza, usually a cheese and tomato pizza, dipped in batter and fried.
You're calling it a pizza crunch, fried pizza.
Yeah, basically. So it's like, yeah, crunchy. Or you can just get deep fried pizza, which is not in the batter. That's a kind of renowned kind of Glasgow dish. Kind of like a wee bit like a gimmick kind of thing. So, yeah.
That stuff's around, but it's not all, obviously.
No. I mean, yeah, I don't eat a pizza crunch all the time. I don't eat a deep fry. I think I've only had a deep fried Mars bar once in my life. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't that bad, but I'm not going to eat it probably again or yeah, or have it anytime soon. I'd much rather try the amazing seafood of what it's known for. I mean, Scotland produces over 60% of the seafood for the whole of the UK, so it's a massive deal. And a lot of our shellfish, and it's mostly from the west coast, is going all the way down to the mainland Europe and France and Michelin star restaurants in Barcelona because there's demand and it's sustainable.
Always a plus.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform.
Okay, well, I just wanted to take a second to say thanks for listening to Rails, Ales, and Old Towns. I hope you're enjoying this episode and that it's helping you get excited for your next European adventure. Be sure to check out the link in the episode description because there you'll find all the information you need if you decide to follow up on the places and topics that came up on the show. Oh yeah, if you are digging the podcast and you had a spare minute, I'd be forever grateful if you were to leave a review or a rating on the platform you're listening on, as those little things do go a long way. And if you really want to get crazy, why not give me a follow on Instagram or Facebook at Rails Ales Old Towns. Back to the show.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform.
So, what are some things we should look to eat then when we come to Glasgow? What's a couple things that you would say definitely eat this?
I definitely try your iconic Scottish dishes, so like your haggis, meats and tatties, and your Cullen skink,
Can you
which is kind of
explain
like a
those a
seafood.
little bit?
Yeah, sure. So haggis is lamb, liver, lung, and heart, all minced up. You've got oatmeal, you've got spices, you've got suet, which is kind of like a fat, and sometimes maybe onion might be added in it, depending what the butcher's are. They might put maybe coriander or nutmeg in there. And it's just all mixed up together and then cooked. And then it was traditionally encased in a sheep's stomach to cook it in to hold it together. But more and more are just using artificial casing. Whereas traditionally you would have haggis as on Burns Night, which is the 25th of January, to celebrate Robert Burns. And that was his birthday. I mean, you can have haggis any time of the year, but that's when we traditionally have it because one of Burns's famous poems was addressed to haggis. Robert Burns is Scotland's national poet. Have you, when New Year you sing Auld Lang Syne?
Every year.
He wrote that. He wrote that. So, no Robert Burns. Um, but yeah, he's Scotland's national poet, and haggis is Scotland's national dish through him. In terms of your neeps, that's turnip and tatties as potato. That's a traditional way to have it.
Okay. And tatties is just a nickname for potatoes.
Yeah, it's kind
Okay.
of like the Scots word for potatoes. Yeah, tatties.
Okay, cool. We're learning. We're learning.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a traditional one, and you've got also Cullen skink, which is like a kind of seafood chowder.
Okay. I've never met a chowder I
It's
didn't love.
yeah, so it's got smoked haddock in there. You've got potatoes and onions, milk, some cream, and it's just a really kind of just warms you up. You know, just it's perfect for a kind of comfort food, a winter warmer kind of thing. And it's originally from Cullen, which is in the northeast of Scotland. Before, I think it was 1890, they would use a kind of a beef shin bone in there instead of the smoked haddock. But it got too expensive. So being in a harbour town, they thought, well, we've got lots of fish coming in. Let's put haddock in there, and that's what it's kind of always been known as since then.
So Cullen skink, just like a seafood, a Scottish seafood chowder, if you want to call it that.
Pretty much, yeah. And they're kind of like iconic dishes of kind of Scotland. Best places to probably try them, we go to there is probably Gale and Grain. We also do Versanta as well, and also an American.
Okay, these are
So that
restaurants.
these are restaurants. These are all restaurants. They An American focuses on great Scottish produce. So anything seafood, yeah, the lamb, beef, you name it, black pudding, yeah, all there.
Okay, so those are a few things to definitely keep an eye out for. Is there anything Glasgow specific? You know, people
Oh,
from Glasgow are like, when they come back to Glasgow, the first thing they're gonna get.
so in terms of drink, you've got Iron Brew. Now, have you had Iron Brew before?
I have. It's a
Yeah,
nice
I love
a
I
soft
love Iron Brew.
drink.
Yeah, it's I think Scotland's the only place in the world where Iron Brew outsells Coca-Cola. So it's yeah, we love Iron Brew.
How would you describe the flavor of Iron Brew?
Do you know it's unique? But from my visitors, they kind of describe it a bit like bubble gum or cream soda.
I can see that,
So yeah.
but you get the
Um,
bonus of a bright orange color.
Bright orange, yeah, yeah. I mean, people look at it as a lot, but I absolutely love it. And you need to obviously do it in moderation. And it used to be a lot sweeter than what it is today. They actually reduced the sugar content in it, and there was outrage that they did this. But because Scotland introduced a sugar tax on fizzy juice, so they reduced the sugar content, and the original recipe was just going off the shelves, and people were paying crazy money for it. So yeah,
Is it Glasgow is a place where there was a famous curry dish invented?
the chicken tikka masala. Indian food is very popular in Glasgow. We love Indian food. Chicken tikka masalas. It was created here in Glasgow by Mr. Ali and the Shish Mahal. So the restaurant came about in the 60s. Mr. Ali created it in the 70s. Apparently, it came down to a tin of condensed tomato soup and some spices, and it's just gone on since then. But yeah, that is the chicken tikka masala is a Glasgow dish, as well as the chasney, which is not so well known, and Mr. Singh's, which is another great Indian restaurant. I go there for my evening tours, and I have haggis pakora, so bringing that Scottish Indian fusion in. Just yeah, it's brilliant comment. The spices in the haggis, spices in the pakora, it just works so well. But yeah, they do also do the ambala as well. But yeah, there's some iconic Indian restaurants. You've also got Mother India, which is another one as well. Anthony Bourdain, he loved Glasgow and he had a curry there. If you've not got a good Indian restaurant in Glasgow, you'll not last 2 minutes because we are spoiled for choice with some great restaurants.
And what was the thing that you said was the dish that was invented at the second place?
The chasney,
Yeah, what's
is it?
that?
So the chasney is like I love the chasney. It's kind of like a sweet and sour kind of curry, uh, relatively mild. And yeah, that's another one. That's another great one as well. That was invented in Glasgow as well.
Yeah, it's that last place you mentioned, Mother India. I went last autumn, and that was a cool place. Like, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
we had gotten on the train in late November, and we had showed up in Glasgow. We checked into the hotel, and we walked out
yeah,
on a
yeah.
cold night, and we went to this Mother India, and just sitting down, it's candlelight, and these just delicious curries. There's just something about it that warms you from the inside.
Absolutely.
Eating it inside on a dark night, there's just something magical
Yeah,
about it.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, and in this chicken tikka masala, I mean, it's taken over the world.
Exactly. I mean, when I tell people about that, they look at me as if, is she making this up? Just like, no. No. And yeah, they've even, the Shish Mahal have a sign up to say, this is where it was created.
That's like
So yeah,
Hall of Fame stuff there, guys.
absolutely.
So you got to get some Indian, of course, when you're in Glasgow. So after Mother India, we walked around the corner and went to this pub called Ben Nevis that had a traditional music on. So I was going to ask you
Yeah,
about that next, like just a couple, tips
yeah,
on for people who like, to go to pubs and maybe catch some traditional music and maybe sip some whiskey. I personally would say this is a cool pub. I really enjoyed it. I don't, it was my first night in Glasgow, but
yeah. Ben Nevis is a great pub. Yeah,
okay,
it's
thank you.
it's
I'm glad.
a great whiskey pub.
I'm glad.
Um, it's got great music. Um, we also go to another pub. It's called the Park Bar, and just an institution in Glasgow. It's known for its music. You take the music away from the Park Bar, it's not really. The Park Bar is known for its music, and it's all the traditional Scottish music. The owners have now started getting bands in during the week, but it just used to be kind of Friday, Saturday, and sometimes Sunday. They would have it, and the place is absolutely hoaching.
And
That's
what was
your
that word?
yeah, hoaching, and it basically means it's busy. But yeah, that is such a great pub. You come here for a good drink, catch up with your mates. It's where all the Highlanders and Islanders come that are either visiting Glasgow or now live in Glasgow. And again, it's for a community. There's like a triangle of pubs, and that's where they tend to go. And a lot of bands get their big breaks there. Deirdre and Gary, who are the owners, are really wanting to help and support people. And Nina as well, the owner before, really want to support people from a music point of view. So yeah, a lot of bands get their big breaks there.
And just if you don't mind, could you just like give us a quick explanation of like what traditional music is and like this Scottish trad music?
So trad music's basically, in terms of what it involves, it pretty much is most of the time is an accordion there. Okay, you'll have obviously somebody usually playing the drums, maybe a guitar, the fiddle, or violin, or the keyboard, and it's just basically playing tunes, some singing along. Sometimes they're singing in Gaelic, which is one of our languages, part of our culture. That's another thing that's celebrated in Glasgow and is very important. I mean, it's important to my family as well because my husband, he plays the drums, my father-in-law played the accordion, and they played. They're from the islands and they played. So it's very, very important, especially to people from the West Coast and the islands, to keep traditional trad music alive.
And this is not on a show for tourists. This is people
Oh,
playing for their
this is
own passion and their own love for the music.
100%. Yeah. People are playing, and you get a lot of locals in that pub. So, I mean, it's great when tourists come and visitors come to see it and enjoy it, but that is a local pub.
Great, great tip. Since we love rail travel here on Rails, Ales, and Old Towns, you've probably taken a few rail trips from Glasgow. Anywhere you'd recommend is like a nice place to go for the day or anything scenic on the train?
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of them. So, I mean, even just going down to the beach, down in Ayr, or maybe go to Troon, but also you've got the West Highland line as well. You can go all the way up to Malig, which takes you to the kind of, and you pass like the lovely sandy, the Silver Sands or more of the lovely kind of sandy beaches up there, and it goes via Fort William in that way. I've not actually done that one, but I have done several times the train from Glasgow to Oban, and that is a great wee train to take. When I used to see my then boyfriend and my husband there, and just jump in the train after work and spend the weekend up there, and it was just so easy to just hop on the train, and there's some beautiful scenery along the way as well. You go past the Loch Lomond, and yeah, it's just such a great wee trip to do, even if you want to go up there. Um, get the early train, you could technically do that in a day, yeah.
To Oban.
To Oban, yeah, it's about a 3 hour trip.
Yeah, so 3 hours out, have a lunch, 3 hours back. Just the scenery is going to probably be worth the price of the ticket.
Yeah, definitely. And even you've got trips as well. You get lovely scenery up to the Highlands as well. That's another one too. So yeah,
Don't forget everybody that British Rail is goes almost everywhere all over this island.
100%. I mean, our rail network's just very, very impressive. And I always say that to people who come to visit Scotland. I'm like, definitely jump on our trains. I mean, they're just so great, so easy to use, and you get to places that you wouldn't expect to get to in such a short time. So so you can like just like sit back and then just enjoy taking in the scenery and taking in what Scotland's known for its glens and its mountains.
That's what it's all about there. So now we need to just, tell us about the tours. What can we expect if we go with you on one of the Glasgow Food and Drink Tours?
Yeah, so right now I've got 4 tours in Glasgow. Uh, as I said at the beginning, I'm all about independent, family-run restaurants, pubs, and shops, bakeries. I try to give the variety in there so people have a lot of different variety of what people can try in Glasgow. Because Glasgow is it's the food scene's so thriving right now. I mean, there's so multicultural as well, and I like to in the Merchant City stroll, I like to kind of put that kind of multicultural twist in there because kind of that's summing up Glasgow, you know. But I also like to bring the cultures in, like for my evening tour, I like to bring the kind of cultures in with Indian restaurant when I talked about the haggis pakora. But yeah, you're just going to wee venues, try and have a wee taste of what Glasgow has to offer, learning about the venues, some of the, get involved, so you're chatting to the locals. Like we go to a gin distillery and they tell you all about the gin and how the juniper berries are from up in the Highlands. And yeah, there's just passion with people who we talk to, and I think that's really, really important because you, people take pride in what they do, and I love to showcase that. And Glasgow's history and culture is just so fascinating. And there's always a wee story to tell. And that's what I try to aim at. It's always about storytelling. And it's just, yeah, it's such a great city and the food and drink scene is just amazing.
Now you mentioned 4 tours.
Yeah, so the tours I've got the West End Wonder, which is my original, my award-winning one. That's where it started. And then I launched the West End Wonder at night. So that's a 4 stop tour. My West End day tour is a 6 stop tour, and my evening one's a 4 stop tour. It's kind of like a kind of 3 course meal, um, a large 3 course meal with 3 drinks. But the kind of West End day tour is more like your kind of typical kind of food tasting tour.
Got it.
And then I just launched the Merchant City Stroll this year. And that was in collaboration with Visit Glasgow and also with I worked with the kind of slow food kind of movement guide, just about sustainability, and using local produce and things like that. And yeah, that was to celebrate Glasgow's 850th anniversary, which we're celebrating this year.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you very much. But yeah, that was yeah a great launch of a tour, and it's just getting that out there so people know yeah different types of tours to explore. And then of course I just as well launched a kind of mini version of the West End Wonder. So people just want a kind of not as much walking, a shorter tour. There's that option as well.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, because it was my first proper time in the city. And it does, you alluded to this a few minutes ago, but it does feel like there is like a buzz going on there. Like that there seems to be like this energy there of like, probably a lot of people have moved there from other areas of the UK. You correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seems like there is this buzz around.
Glasgow, you definitely Glasgow's got that vibe. So vibrant, and we've got 2 Michelin star restaurants in the city. Glasgow hosted the Michelin event in February time, and when people from restaurants and were getting awards in the UK and Ireland, and I had some Michelin star chefs on my tour And
Wow.
they were just amazed at what Glasgow has to offer. And we're just like, yeah, it's happening
Yeah,
right now.
get there now. Get there now, guys,
Yeah.
because it's on its way to blowing up, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it like keeps going because it's just so great.
It wouldn't be Rails Ales Old Towns either with asking a little bit like the beer scene. I know that Innocent Gun is a big craft brewer there.
Yeah, so Innocent Gun, I do visit Innocent Gun. They're Edinburgh based, the brewery's in Perth, but they're Edinburgh based for their great craft beer. They've got a number one, I think their lager's the number one craft lager in Scotland. The original, that's my favourite. That's how it all started. And it's still run by Dougal Gunsharp, who set it up in 2003. And it's still run by him today. But you've also, in my Merchant City tour, we've also go and visit Drygate, which is another brewery as well, and that's a Glasgow one, and that's another great one. And we have Seven Peaks there, and there's always a story behind their beer of what they're creating as well, which is great. And then of course you've got the iconic Tenants. Yeah,
Tenants is like the
yeah,
breweries right there on the East End, right?
yeah. So Drygate and Tenants are right next to each other. And yeah, I did the Tenants tour fairly recently, and that was just interesting going in and finding all about it. But yeah, that's kind of iconic to Glasgow, the Tenants.
I've got to give a shout out to West Brewery, actually.
Of course, yeah, West Brewery is another great one. You're right. Glasgow Green.
Took the dog, we walked down along the River Clyde, walked through Glasgow Green, and then sat there inside, had some great, they're doing something really unique, brewing German inspired beers in Glasgow.
That's right. That's right. Yep. Yep. And that's another great one that you should definitely check out as well. 100%. Um, yeah, we've actually got quite a lot of great places when you come to think about it. And you're just like, of course, yeah.
So how do people book? What's the best way to book and get information about the tours?
Yeah, so you book direct on my website. It's www.glasgowfoodandrinktour .co.uk, or if you just type in the Glasgow Food and Drink Tour, you'll find me. But yeah, it's probably best to direct, and we'll get a wee tour sorted for you.
Is there anything else you want people to know about Glasgow?
If you want to experience a great Scottish city, you're a foodie, you want to learn about the city and history, you want to experience and just have crack, which is just great time with people, come to Glasgow because you will not regret it. You will have an amazing time.
I can vouch for that. All right, Gillian,
Yeah,
thanks for joining me.
100%.